What's the shittiest way a friend has shown you they weren't really your friend? Promised to invite me to a group outing, only to text me one day out of the blue that they already left, and oh well. From mutual friends who went on the outing, they told me that this friend never told them that I was invited. My best friend since middle school got me knocked unconscious after starting a confrontation with a large group of guys. Proceeded to tell everyone we worked with that I had started it. Few weeks later I had returned from a holiday to my home country and he had moved one of his friends into my room at the place we were renting. Never talked to him again. For some reason my brain switched since middle school within middle school, and I was trying real hard to figure out a reason that middle school kids would be renting a place together. Lied about me at our government job where I was investigated by the AG and ultimately caused me to leave a job and a boss I loved. She quit when we found out it was her who lied, as she knew my boss would con her butt. Oh, and I'm the one who got her hired. How do people just wake up one day and decide to do stuff like this? It was my 17th birthday. I had invited two of my best friends to stay the night. I waited for hours and finally got a text saying they got in trouble. They were twins and couldn't stay the night. About an hour later they were tagged in pictures. They were at another girl's house. I confronted them the next day and they stuck with their lie and said their mom wouldn't drive them because they were in terrible, so they walked to this other girl's house. My mom asked their mom because she knew how hurt I was. She didn't even know about my birthday, and they weren't in trouble. I stopped hanging out with them. Learned a few months later that one of them had decided she didn't like me because her 20-year-old crush, another friend's brother, had said it was a shame I was a minor because he thought I was cute. What a childish reason to end a friendship. Bullet dodged. Invited me to her wedding as a gesture of reconciliation and then uninvited me when I RSVP'd, or in other words, responded to her invitation. Also, another friend took me out to lunch and let me cry to her after I broke up with my ex. She said she had to go to her mom's for a while and she'd be back that evening with treats and a red box. She ended up hooking up with my ex. Yikes. We were friends since babies. Our moms worked at the same place. My mom saw him as her own child and frequently he was at our house after school because her mom was kind of absent. His family moved out of the state but we kinda kept in touch, then he came back. While we were on our 20s, my mom was going to start remodeling the house. He insisted on helping us since he was working with a construction company. Long story short, he said he needed some money for the construction permits. In hindsight it wasn't even that much, but he took the money and we never saw him again. He even blocked me on Facebook. We later found out that the permit costs was a fraction of the money he took. Biggest pain in the heart was watching my mom crying, disappointed that her own son would do that to her. So frick him. Speaking as someone who has never met either you or your ex-friend, this seems like something a drug addict would do. I had a very close friend in high school. She moved to Alabama for uni after we graduated, but we kept close. When she came back we didn't talk much, but I still considered her a close friend. We went out for coffee about 2 years ago. She kept asking me about my life and my goals and I said I was happy where I am. I coach gymnastics, and my boyfriend and I will eventually take over his family farm and start our own family. She texted me 2 days later and said, hey, so my entrepreneur friend is hosting a workshop. Do you want me to sign you up? I said no, but thanks for the offer. She then texted me, so clearly we are at 2 different points in our lives. You have no goals or ambitions, and I don't want that kind of negativity in my life. I wish you the best, and I never spoke to her again. Yeah, that bit about the workshop makes me think she was gonna sell you an MLM. Sorry you lost a friend to that. After 25 years of friendship, I announced to my best friend that I was moving to the city she was in. I had a great job opportunity and felt like it was an awesome time to make a big life change. I was so excited to tell her. I could hardly wait. She flatly replied with, cool. And when I asked her what parts of town I should look at to live, she stated, I can't help you. You should just figure it out when you get here. We never had a fight, had been close for our entire adult lives, and I had continually helped her in all aspects of her life without hesitation. To this day, I cannot tell you why she started treating me this way. Long story short, we live in the same city and haven't seen each other in 6 years. And I'm quite sure we live minutes away from each other. I will never know what happened. Whoa, that is just astonishing. Really makes me wonder. In 8th grade, after I switched schools, a friend of mine called me one night and told me a kid I wanted to be friends with killed himself. 3 months later I visit their graduation ceremony and find out he lied to me and that the kid was still alive. Such a weird lie though. It turns out that he lied about every single thing. We were friends for over a year, but it felt like we'd known each other forever. He would always make it a point to let me know that I was someone he trusted, and that I was the only person he had. He would tell me that everyone leaves him, that he always hurts people, and my response to this was to make sure that I would never leave his texts unanswered, and promise to be there for him no matter what. One day, out of the blue, he tells me that our friendship is over. I remember feeling like my heart was shattered. I cried for weeks, trying to figure out what I'd done wrong. Our mutual friends assured me that he had a very good reason for doing this, and he'd be back to being my friend soon. So I began waiting, constantly worried about him. He told all our mutual friends what was wrong, except me, and instructed them not to let me know. Finally, my best friend calls me one day and tells me that he's lied to every single person he knows, and nothing we thought we knew about him was true at all. Turns out, he told everyone that he'd been diagnosed with cancer and had to take time away from everyone. During our friendship, he opened up to me about his extremely abusive household, and most of our friendship was me letting him know that he deserved better and I'd do anything to help him out of there. None of what he said was true. The truth came out because one of my friends caved and called his sister to find out how he was doing. She was confused because he was absolutely healthy, and when asked about their parents' separation, she confirmed that their parents were indeed together, and were never at risk of divorce. That's a class A narcissist right there. Made us come to her seminar thing for some pyramid scheme thing. I just know it is. I thought we were going to hang out and she told me that she was going to bring us out and eat. She just abandoned us right after that crap. Same, only I thought we were going on a date. LOL. My 16th birthday I invited my friends over for a party including dinner. I spent all day cooking with my dad and made beautiful chocolate mousse cups in chocolate bowls. I went all out and I was so proud of the meal. I told everyone that dinner was at 6:30. Nobody showed up until 8:30. They were completely stoned and had a bag of toys from Dollar Tree. I had already cleaned up and put away all the food. They had all been hanging out without me on my birthday and I was still an afterthought. Whoa, that really sucks. Something kind of similar happened to me. I made food, but although several people said they were coming, only one person did. I was glad I wasn't totally alone, but I was also so embarrassed and humiliated. Here I was stupidly thinking people were really going to show up. She invited me over to hang out. 35 minutes in she was like I will be right back, gets in the car with her boyfriend and leaves me at her house with her kid siblings. She freaking tricked me into babysitting. She started fricking my husband while I was pregnant. Hey, mine too. While I was letting her and her mom live in my house rent free. My friend, we live on EST, texted my roommate owner of the condo who was living in California at 5 o'clock in the morning PST to say I was high on M and having sex parties every night. I was fast asleep. Turns out he was the high one texting so early. He was upset at me about something I stood up for and tried to make me homeless. Reason: we were at a bar, he was very buzzed and high sitting at a table and my other friend and I literally just got there just in time to miss a big disagreement between two other friends and he was pumped up to fill me in, but the way he snapped his fingers and slammed the table to demand me to sit next to him was too much. I said let me get my first drink first then I'll walk over, don't snap your fingers and demand me. That escalated quick way he threatened to tip the table over. Ugh, it was ugly. That's so bad. Mid 2000s he tried to paint me as a porno king in high school just to get a girl not to like me cause he had a crush on her. Backfired. They immediately came up to me, asked me about it and I said I only had one Playboy mag. My ex got with two of my friends after a pretty bad breakup to the point where it just seemed like she was trying to hurt me and my so-called friends were willing to do the same to get some action. So I was in the car with a third friend on Thanksgiving Eve telling him how much this was affecting me, to which he replied, "That's so crappy man, I'd never do that to you." Well, that Christmas the very next month another friend shows me a picture of that friend and my ex together on Instagram. They started dating shortly after that. So much for "I'd never do that to you." I had a friend do the same 2 days after a bad breakup, and she went and spent the weekend with my ex. He lived up the road from me and she did the walk of shame past my house. Had one friend that bought a bunch of tickets for a midnight movie premiere for myself and our entire friends group, about 15 of us. Day of the show, he texts me and says he forgot to buy a ticket for me. I ask, "What do you mean you forgot to buy my ticket? Of the 15 you bought, how is it my ticket that you decided wasn't purchased?" Turns out, he did buy a ticket for me included in the 15 he bought, but he just met a girl the week prior and decided to give my ticket to her. So our entire friends group went to the movie, minus me. There's other things he did to me as well. We're no longer friends. Hopefully it was a crap movie. My freshman year in college, I had two roommates and one of their girlfriends came to visit for the weekend, so the other roommate and I were gonna give them the room to themselves for a little while. Most nights this wouldn't be a big deal, but this was in the middle of a blizzard and we had almost 2 feet of snow, so there wasn't really anywhere to go. So my roommate and a few buddies were gonna take a friend's truck out for a ride through the snowy hills we lived in and smoke some weed. As we are walking out to the truck, I realized I forgot something and ran back upstairs to grab it real quick, and when I came back down I see the truck driving away without me. Turns out one of our other friends had their GF in town too and he brought her along, so there wasn't room in the car for me anymore, so they just left without me without waiting or even trying to tell me. I drive 6 hours one way, twice in the span of a year to visit this sucker because I thought we were friends and he acted like we were. It cost me $300 each time to visit him, but he was alone in his new city. He moved away for his first job post uni and kept messaging me saying I should come visit blah blah blah. Later I find out this guy has came back to my town multiple times and didn't hit me up once, and he stayed for months at a time. Then I tell him about this and he says okay, he'll visit next time he's back in town. So then next time comes around and he stops by literally right before he's about to drive home to say hi for 5 minutes. Like, dude, you don't wanna see me? Why are you just going through all this BS and making me waste my money? Ugh. This reminds me of my incubator. I was raised by my aunt thinking my mom lived so far away because I only saw her twice a year. As an adult she tells me she was in my hometown twice a month visiting friends, but never had time to visit. She said it was because she's known them longer. LOL. So many stories to do with her. Years ago, almost all of my friends abandoned me when I was suicidal and had to go into hospital for a few weeks. It made my depression so much worse to know that sharing how I felt just scared people away. Luckily I spent a lot of time in therapy and made a huge effort to put myself out there in my local music scene, and now I have a completely new, much larger and more genuine circle of friends. I'm really glad that you found a new group of friends and are doing well. I open up to my ex-friend about being depressed and suicidal. He called me a P for thinking about suicide and that I have nothing to be depressed about. He stopped talking to me after that semester was over. My best friend best man at my wedding fricked my married sister on my wedding night. Turns out a full open bar was a bad idea. They called me up and invited me over to play a game with them and their friends. At the time I had only barely started driving, but I decided, yeah, that sounds like fun, so I went over to play. When I arrived I found out that they had volunteered me to pick up the other friends. I was not prepared to do this, but she trapped me because I had already agreed to come play with her friends. I was pretty annoyed by this, but I went ahead and drove to 3 places picking everyone up, and no one was really ready to go when I arrived, and one of them also needed me to drop them back on campus to drop off their school assignment. By the time all was said and done it was really late and I needed to get back home because I had to get up in the morning to go to work. Not one of them even said thank you. The friendship didn't really last much longer after that. Dang, that really sucks. I'm gonna get my license in a couple months. And if I've learned anything from Reddit, it's that people will try to take advantage of you once you get your license. This is currently happening. I had a stroke in 2020. I'm young, 31, and then found out that my kidneys were failing shortly after. I know it's a pandemic, but not one of my friends have even texted me to check on me or ask my husband, who they're all also friends with. Literally everyone cut me off when I got sick. Can't drink, not friends anymore. I'll be your friend newly sober person here. When I was 14-16, I lived in a granny flat at the back of my mum's house. I had a big group of friends who would stay every weekend. We'd have drinks, movie nights, just hang out really. We were like a family and were all really close. Then mum put our house on the market and I lost contact with every single one of them. I think that's still the most used I've ever felt. Probably because the friendship meant so much to me, and I feel like they faked the whole thing for a place to stay. I offered to pay everything and even pay her for her time off work for my best friend to come to my wedding, but she didn't. It was a really small backyard wedding and I didn't have any bridesmaids, nor did I want anyone to spend money getting dresses, blah blah blah. I just wanted her to come. The excuse she gave was work, and so I understood, but then later found out she lied and had planned a trip with her other friends. I still don't know why she didn't want to come. We were friends for over 10 years, and although it wasn't the first time she had really hurt me, it was the last. Getting like 3 inches from my face and yelling about how our mutual friend was asking to be assaulted by their significant other. He literally did the chest poking thing in public. Vehemently and loudly defend domestic abuse. No thanks to that. They all bailed on my college graduation and graduation party, and then accidentally included me on an email thread about all of them coming up with different excuses for missing my big day. It made me feel incredibly alone, and I had no idea that they viewed me in such a negative light. As an adult, I realized they were jealous, but back then, just assumed I had a major character flaw and started isolating myself from people. Someone did you a favor by accidentally including you on that email thread. My best friend got with my first husband while I was pregnant, helped destroy our marriage, supported him so he could quit his job and avoid paying child support, joined him in abusing my kids while they were with him, and then tried to cry on my shoulder when he ended up screwing her over when they split after 14 years of jointly making my life a living heck. I sent my friend who was supposed to be in my wedding a text message telling her that my now husband and I had decided to elope before he deployed to Afghanistan because we wanted to be married just in case he didn't make it home, but that we would still be having the big wedding when he came home, and I was so excited for her to be a part of that. She never responded and hasn't spoken to me since. My husband and I just celebrated our 3rd anniversary. I had a friend who randomly stopped talking to me for a while. Thought I made her angry or something, or she just got sick of me. A few years later I decided to look her up. Turns out she got into a fatal accident and that's why she never responded. I've lost a few friends this way as well. That and cancer, drugs, war, and suicide. 1. Wouldn't stop judging me for the dumbest things. 2. Wouldn't stop cutting me out for no reason. 3. Said I was academically dumb. They always came to me for help though. 4. Said I wasn't street smart. I can kinda agree with it. 5. Told me my hobby activity I do, band, will get me nowhere in life. I never said I wanted to do it as a job. Luckily I blocked them out of my life and don't deal with them anymore. This person reeks of insecurity. Had a friend that was super close to the point we discussed moving in, until she did with some college friends, then she went back to being too busy with school to ever talk until one day I stopped trying. Happened every couple of years. The time we stopped talking before this I did an experiment to see when she'd message me first. 2 years boyo. An experiment to see when she'd message me first. This is why I don't have many friends. There's less than 10 non-family that'll message me out of the blue. When another friend, A, basically ghosted me and this friend, B, for a year or 2. He came into contact with him again and they became best buds, which I didn't much care for but found quite odd. What's weird was that B had been claiming I wouldn't be willing to reconcile with her. Found it all very strange to make such claims, and for these dudes to act in such a petty manner without even asking or confronting me, but luckily I have much more genuine friends. Good friend tried to gaslight me into thinking I was crazy when I confronted him about lying. Freaking narcissistic prick. Met ex-friend as a coworker. He needed a ride home since he didn't have a car, so I offered. Drove him home dang near every shift for 3 years. Became my closest friend. I was 16. Just started driving. He was in his mid-early 20s. Now as a teenager I made some bad decisions and wasn't the best guy. But this was 8 some odd years ago. Fast forward to 4 months ago, when he told my fiancée every terrible thing I've done throughout my life, and detailed to her every reason she should leave me. Gave her a spare key to his house and told her that when she makes the right decision his doors are open. Apparently he's been trying to end our relationship for almost 2 years. Feeding her lies and whispering in her ear about how bad a person I am, so that he can have my fiancée join his fiancée in a 3-way relationship. When I moved home from college I texted some of my old friends to meet up for my birthday, dinner, a drink or so, no biggie. About half said they couldn't come but a few never even replied. Really showed how much they cared. Stole my Christmas and birthday present. Had him and my other friends over a bunch because my family went on vacation without me. I was only about 16-17. And I was home alone. Woke up one morning to grab my gift card that was my big present and found out it was gone. I knew every single person who was over since I was in elementary and treated them all like they were my brothers. I called up the Best Buy to see if someone used the gift card and found out that it had indeed been used already to buy a car stereo head unit. I got the specific model. Then I called up my one friend's girlfriend and asked her if he had bought anything at Best Buy lately. She said he had. I asked if he had used a gift card. She said he had. I asked if he had bought a head unit of that specific model. She said he had. Me and my other friends then got in our cars and drove over to his house. Looked into his vehicle and saw the brand new headset installed in his car. Theoretically, in a totally didn't happen scenario, we then proceeded to break off all his mirrors, windows, and slashed his tires. The guy didn't understand why I didn't want to talk to him ever again. Who the frick steals birthday and Christmas presents? The goddamn Grinch, that's who. Apparently he had been sleeping at my house weekly for years. I mostly hate my birthday and Christmas now because of that, and also because I was deployed on my 21st birthday as well as that year's Christmas, in which both my grandpas came down with cancer and one died while I was away. Kinda sour crap for me. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.